Whiskey 8, X-Ray Zulu, handle is Dan, located just 25 miles north of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I just purchased one of these BM800 microphones that I hear starting to proliferate the band, and I have it connected to an IC7300. I was wondering if you could give me a report on the audio on this microphone. Go ahead.
Roger, Dan. Sounds good. The thing is, you might want to work a little closer, Mike, because I'm hearing your walls. You know, so you come a little bit closer. About 3 or 4 inches is ideal. That way it'll minimize any room echo. And try her again. Let me hear you.
Room echo. And try her again. Let me hear you.
Okay, very fine. This is Whiskey 8 X-Ray Zulu. I do have the microphone closer to me. The microphone is quite hot, the way it works, and what you're hearing, I do believe too, is the fan on the radio there, and I did move it closer, so I'm about 4 inches away. Now, how's this sounding?
It sounds a lot better. You might be interested in our setup procedure. We could just review a couple of things. Our setup begins with engaging your compressor at a 3. It's a token amount, but it does exactly what we need it to do to get our fattening going there. So if you'd be interested, it would be compressor on and add a 3. Roger?
It would be compressor on and add a 3. Roger?
Very fine. I had it set at 2. I now have it set at 3. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Now we move to the ALC with mic gain in hand. And as you speak fairly rapidly, 100, 200, 300, adjust your mic gain until your ALC meter is running mid-scale to 2/3. Mid-scale to 2/3 on the ALC meter by way of mic gain manipulation.
On the ALC meter by way of mic gain manipulation.
Yes, sir. We'll do that. I may be a little high on that. I'm setting at 30%. Whoops. Let me get this set.
Okay, my gain is now set at 25%. It is coming up a good 2/3. Maybe that's still a little too much. How are we sounding that out?
Well, Dan, I think you might have hit your VFO. Come back to 7188 and put lock on. Come back to 7188 and put your lock on. Good idea anytime you're engaged longer than hello, goodbye, Qso. Roger?
Engaged longer than hello, goodbye, Qso. Roger?
Yeah, I did. I couldn't figure out what had happened. I moved my hand, and I did indeed touch it, and I certainly apologize for that. Now it's sitting at 25%, and it is coming up not quite as far. It is coming up a little bit more, 2/3, just a little bit more than that.
Roger, Roger. Well, my good folks at Milford decided to kick me off on that. I think we're back on now. For some reason, I had a slight malfunction on my Milford SDR, but it's back now. So, okay, we're back to setting the level on the on your ALC. So you bring your ALC meter up with mic gain in hand, and as you speak fairly rapidly to get that meter to reflect accurately what's going on, 100, 200, 300, 400, adjust the mic gain until your ALC meter is running mid-scale to 2/3. Mid-scale to 2/3. Roger?
Mid-scale to 2/3. Roger?
Roger, I'm looking at it now. I'm actually bringing it down. I am down to 20% right now. And normal verse, that's a voice, that's where it's coming up to. Half to about 2/3. And again, I'm at 20% on the mic gain and 3 on the compression. How are we sounding now?
Yes, sir. Sounding pretty good. The actual setting of the mic gain is not important. The thing is what the mic gain does as affects the ALC. So the main thing is getting that ALC to read mid-scale to 2/3. What the actual reading of the mic gain is really not important. Roger?
What the actual reading of the mic gain is really not important. Roger?
Okay, very fine. Well, that's what we're doing now, half to 2/3. And I did pull away maybe an inch, so I'm still a good 4 inches away from the microphone, and it's sitting right now just right exactly where you're recommending. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm still catching a little bit of noise, room noise, wall noise, echo, reverb in the room. Try coming just a little bit closer. See if we can get that signal a little more first-hand as opposed to in the next room. Roger?
More first-hand as opposed to in the next room. Roger?
Okay. Roger, I'll tell you something else I had here. I do have a light here on my desk that makes a hum to it, and I'm so used to it. I think possibly that's what you were hearing because it is near the microphone, and right now the fan on the radio is also making some noise now, but I did turn that light lamp off to take care of that part of the hum. This is Whiskey 8, X-ray Zulu for ID.
Roger, Dan, it's not hum I'm hearing, sir. It's reverb off the walls. Just out of curiosity, on my sake, if you would come right up on mic like about an inch away or 2 inches away, let me hear that, Roger.
Like about an inch away or 2 inches away. Let me hear that, Roger.
Roger, yeah, I am about, that's where I am right now, about an inch away from it. Go ahead.
Roger, okay, you were nice and personal right at that point, so come back about 3 inches, just about 3 inches away from the mic, and let me hear you there.
About 3 inches, just about 3 inches away from the mic, and let me hear you there.
All right, sir, this is Whiskey 8, X-ray Zulu. Handle is Dan. I'm located 25 miles north of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Go ahead.
Yes, sir, Dan. Well, you have a fairly active room reverberation there, so I would recommend you working that mic where you were just that time last transmission, or maybe just a little bit closer, and that way you will have less reverberation in your audio. It sounds a lot cleaner when you're, do not have the room reverberation. Roger?
Do not have the room reverberation. Roger?
Roger. Well, thank you very much. I am working closer to the microphone now. This microphone, I am trying to set it up. I've spoken to you before just simply using the hand mic on this 7300 and was getting better reports, so maybe this microphone is not going to match up. I have guys using this microphone. I don't think I'm going to be one of those. Go ahead.
Oh, I think you will. I think it's a matter of EQ now. You know, the hand mic that was supplied with the 7300 is just an exceptional device that really sets that radio off just beautifully. It just does such a magnificent job. You really are actually challenged to come up with a better mic situation, when you do pull that hand mic off. But we can go to EQ. If you can go to your EQ page, and we'll sprinkle some magic dust on there and see what that does.
We'll sprinkle some magic dust on there and see what that does.
All right, that'll be fine. Just 1 second. Okay, I am sitting here now on the radio. I'm sitting here at the page where I can set treble and bass.
Alrighty, so that's a 2-band EQ. So what are your readings at the present moment?
And EQ, so what are your readings at the present moment?
Presently, the transmit is +1 on the bass and +3 on the treble.
Alrighty, I would suggest moving all the way up +5 on the treble and down to flat on the bass. Plus 2 or 3, whatever it takes to get to 5 on the treble EQ boost, and back the bass down to ±0. Roger?
Down to ±0. Roger?
Roger. I was able to do that immediately, and that's exactly where I am now. Bass is set at 0, treble is set at +5. Go ahead.
Alrighty, and why don't you tell me a little bit about your antenna system for about 10 seconds or so.
Antenna system for about 10 seconds or so.
I sure will. I modified G5 RV antenna. My radio is putting 100 watts into it. I do not have an amplifier. And the antenna situation, I'm on an HOA, it is not as high and as well laid out as I would certainly prefer. Go ahead.
Roger, Dan. Well, I've got you now on my local receiver, which is good down to, the receiver's good down to 100 cycles. My monitor system is good down to 50 cycles. And so why don't you go back to that +1 on your base and let me hear that. Roger.
Roger. We're set up there with the +1 on it right now, and still at +5 on the triple.
Alrighty. Sounds really good. Now, the thing is, you do have a very active room for your Radio Shack, so you do need to work tight mic like you are. But the problem is that you're now picking plosives up. So I think what you really need to do is to get a foam windscreen on that microphone so you can work it close and not have the impulse noises and plosives. Roger?
Roger. I do have one here that I can put on it, which would only take a few minutes, so I would be glad to go ahead and do that. I don't want to take all of your time. If you'd want, you could move on to somebody else, and I'll look at putting the screen on, and in the future give you a call back. Go ahead.
Roger. Well, I mean, if it wouldn't take more than a minute or so, we could probably hang out, because I'm sure that will solve all of your problems right there. You can work that mic, within a half an inch with that foam windscreen. Roger. So I'll just hold it here while you get that foam windscreen and apply it to your microphone. Folks, really important, when you work a mic 3 inches or closer, you're probably going to want to have a foam windscreen on that microphone. Ideally, of course, you can do whatever you do, but for just perfection, that foam windscreen solves so many problems. It just is the main filter for your radio. It takes out all of the mouth noises and all of the sounds that you don't want to make, and just lets the words go through. It's just amazing. Alrighty, Dan, how about it, sir?
Okay, I do have the phone screen on. Like you said, I had it really very handy, and I am close to the mic. I wonder if this is helping me out there.
Yes, sir. My local level is kind of coming and going. I'm going to switch over now to Milford. It's still up pretty well. And tell me in 10 seconds or so the thing you like best about your radio.
Well, I'll tell you, historically, I've not had very many radios, even though I was first licensed in 1963. I bought this 7300 here 2 years ago, replacing a Kenwood TS440, which I bought in 1986. I do very much like the new technology of it, and I would imagine it would be very doubtful I'll ever buy another radio sitting here at 75 years old. Go ahead.
Roger. Well, you have one of the better radios in the world. That 7300 is just an excellent radio. So probably no need to buy another radio. You keep that windscreen on the microphone, and you sound like $1 million, Roger.
You sound like $1 million, Roger.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I've heard some excellent signals with amateurs having this VM800 microphone connected to 7300, both from here and have pile-ups on them. People wanting to know what in the world microphone or radio they were using. So I thought, I don't buy much gear. I thought, for $45, I would give it a try. And maybe it sounds like we're getting, with your expert help, seems like we're getting this set up, so it's sounding pretty good. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. That microphone is fairly linear through the mid frequencies, and does have a little roll-off on the top end, so I'm assuming it is a dynamic microphone, and that's why we +5 the treble to increase the top end to match the mid-range. So it does sound really beautiful. Now, we could add a little bit more on the bottom end, but the thing is, folks forget about phase cancellation. Sometimes Mother Nature does not bend all of the signal back to to Earth at one point. Sometimes it's a couple of points different, and so there is a time difference, and it comes down top end out of phase slightly, and there goes your treble EQ. And so if you have a very full bottom end, when you lose the top end, you sound like Mr. Bassman. So for that reason, I don't really push the bottom end too much. Mainly I get that top end up. Roger?
Mainly get that top end up. Roger?
Roger, that sounds very good. Oh, and another point to mention to you, I do have the transmit put on wide. Typically I was running on narrow, and it was suggested that I put it on wide, and it is sitting on wide right now. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. That's the preferred operation, a wide. Because the thing is, when you stop, when you pull down the, to lesser transmit frequencies like 200 to 2700 or 20, whatever, you start losing that top end in your audio. And the top end of the audio is all of the articulation for understanding. So you want to keep that top end just as clean as you can, and that means running that radio at 100 to 2900. Roger?
At 100 to 2900. Roger?
Yeah, Roger. Well, that's where we are. Well, I just started using it here yesterday or the day before. I got it hooked up, and the problem I was having that other amateurs tell me they could hear a hiss in it. And I put it over to the scope and turned it over, put it on a dummy load, and not saying anything. Pushed the talk on it, and you could see on the scope of it hiss and stuff going over it, and that's what they were hearing at that time.
Roger. Well, I'm not sure, what all that's about. The first thing is you got to figure out at what level they're copying you. If they're copying you at something at over 20 decibel, 20 dB over S9, then they need to put their antenna attenuate in or whatever, because once you pass 20 over S9, lots of crazy things are going to happen. So you expect weird things at signals hotter than 20 over S9. Roger?
Signals hotter than 20 over S9. Roger?
Yeah, Roger. Well, that makes a lot of sense also. So I'll tell you what, if you don't have any further suggestions, I'll sign so somebody else could give you a call. What say you there?
Yes, sir, that's fine. Dan, appreciate you dropping by. And if you want to hear your audio, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for KC9VKV, followed by the word logbook, that will take you to this recording. It'll be cut number 1 of 2,000 AIRCHECK recordings. Roger?
2,000 AIRCHECK recordings. Roger?
Roger, thank you so very much. I feel much more confident in this, and we'll give it a try here over the next several days. This is Whiskey 8 X-Ray Zulu, saying 73s, and thank you very much, Bob.
Roger. Name is Jim, Juliet India Mike. 73 Dan, have a great afternoon and a beautiful weekend. This is the Friday afternoon Qso-Vlog net, and if you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.